Welcome everybody to Dos Latinas. We are in studio today with my beautiful friend and co-host Lorena Moreau.
Thank you, Sarah. Today is going to be a very special show right here at Dos Latinas because we have a guest that flew in all the way from New York City. Her name is Jeanette Canavan. Who is Jeanette Canavan? Well, she is going to tell us a little bit about herself, but the most important thing is that this message today is going to make a difference for you on everything that has to do with education. Jeanette?
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure and an honor to be able to express my opinion. Jeanette Canavan is a person that believes that education has to always prevail in your life. Long life education is the opportunity, and it will open the door for anything that you want in the future.
And you are a big influence in the area of education because you are with the Department of Education in New York and you oversee languages and the curriculum and languages and how they're carried out.
Correct. Second language acquisition is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. Learning a second language is like learning math, science, or English. You can never think that it's a difficulty. It's something that you have to pursue and that you have to see as an opening for your future.
So it is very important for all the parents out there to understand the necessity that it is today to learn two languages. Sarah, how many languages can you speak?
2, and I used to speak 3. I love languages. I took French in high school and college. Of course, I've forgotten most of that, but it's such a beautiful thing to be bilingual or trilingual and know many languages. And it brings people together because languages, that's what it does. Languages bring people together across the world. They make us closer. They unite us with each other, with our neighboring countries. And you're a big proponent of you learning Italian, Spanish. Do you oversee all the languages? How many languages do you oversee in the department?
Basically a Romance language, which is French, Italian, and Spanish. And of course, the fact that everyone now wants to reach and learn different languages, such as Chinese, is very important because you can always open and explore other sections of the world, but it's always the process of learning. The important thing here is to push students to create, motivate, especially now with the pandemic. We have to engage them in a different way, but never lose the hope. Learning a second language is not difficult. You just need to know how and what tools you need to help yourself to have a successful experience learning your language.
Like always getting in contact with the perfect professor like Jeanette Canavan. Why? Because, she can walk us parents through and, being patient, Sarah, because I think the hardest thing to do right now is having the patience for our children. And I tell you, because I have 2 of my own and you have 4 of your own, Sarah, what has been the toughest for you, Sarah?
Well, when they're little, it's a different challenge versus when they're older. So for the little ones, or the ones I have at home, my older ones are in college. But for the little ones, keeping them focused, they've done a lot of online learning in 2020 and still in 2021. So engaging them and having them participate when they have to be on the computer for as long as they have to be. So folks like yourself in your profession, you're creating that curriculum that's going to keep them engaged. I mean, how much of a challenge is that for you?
Very much so. We have to modify, we have to acquire so much methodology and differentiation because you need to reach out to everybody. And to do it through a camera, it's not going to be as easy. So you have to create. Project-based learning, in my opinion, is the best method that is going to work because you are going to plant the seed for someone to create something, and you are going to have to promote by supervising the process. Nevertheless, the student is going to do the work, you're going to supervise, and the parents are going to have the time to relax because having kids learning at home is always a challenge.
All right, so Ms. Canavan, what has been the biggest and toughest challenge for you for 2020?
Exactly what I said. When I went to school, I have a master's degree in psychology and education. I never studied to teach through a pandemic, through depression, through news, through all the scary things that are going on in the minds of the students. So we have to change and implement so many of the methodology as a professional. But I think the creativity, plant the seed of creativity on the student, be the base, motivate the student, keep the students engaged and motivated. I think is definitely going to work better than the way we used to do it back in the classroom.
You know what, Janet, you're absolutely correct. The key right here is planting the seed. The seed is what's going to make a difference if you understand what that is. And you know what, Sarah, that's always the toughest for us parents, because our kids nowadays, they feel that they get those phones and they get that technology and they get to be smarter than us, but sometimes they miss the point. And the point is understanding how important it is to plant that seed, Sarah. Plant the seed for education, and for the kiddos to learn a different language today is a must. It is a must, like us. We know we all can relate in a different language, and I am so proud of Jeanette because I've known her, my entire life, and I've seen the tough, and as you can tell, she speaks just like a professor, like she speaks to 45, 55 kids, and one thing that I love about Janet Canavan is that she's very passionate. She's passionate in what she does for education. So what she's telling you today, it's important. That seed that you have to plant at home, it's a must. It is a must. And the key to that, Sarah, it's a balance. You have to know how to balance your kids from a certain time to a certain time in the computer to do certain things, because nowadays everything's in the computer. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Janet, what kind of words of motivation or what message would you have to educators out there who are having a hard time? They're maybe stressed about the way that teaching is changing, and even the parents out there who are having a hard time with, having to adapt to more online learning. What kind of message would you have for them?
Have fun. Do not despair. And the third thing, you must create. Every time you have a lesson plan, every time you present a lesson plan, it has to be totally different. You're not in the classroom, you're in front of a computer. You have to be creative. You have to invest an enormous amount of time to create a lesson that is going to engage the students, not to bore them, that is going to leave a little bit of knowledge, that is going to have a repercussion for the future. So it's had to be a lot of planning, but that's when I think it has changed for everybody. Creation for the students, creation for the teachers, and the parents. We all have to be patient. It's the only solution I have for this outgoing situations that we have nowadays.
Two key things that Janet just said right now. Patience, it's the number one. If you are patient, that is one key to success. And the second one, Janet, was?
Of course, to have the creativity. If you don't have creativity and you don't implement it, you don't create things as a professor, as a teacher, as an educator to get the students' attention, you're never going to get the motivation. Parents know better that the students get bored with everything. The cell phone should be a tool. Don't stop reading. Go ahead and continue reading your books. Do not lose the balance, because then you're going to find yourself interacting in a world that is not your world. We are humans. We need to interact with your parents. We have to have social life, and we have to continue reading. My recommendation, please continue reading.
Reading books.
Correct.
Books. It's
Books.
very different from reading it
Correct.
on the computer
Sarah,
or
right.
on a smart tablet.
Sarah, she's talking about the real books, okay?
Me
The
too.
real books, the ones that when you go to the library, you check out, with a little stamp, you take home and you read, because nowadays everybody is just reading everything through the internet. They feel that the internet is the solution to it all, and it's not. It is not. Everybody is missing the beauty, that doesn't understand that, especially when it comes to education. Education, is written on books for history. And the beauty of it is knowing it, understanding it, sharing it. But two things that you said today, Janet, was have fun, and don't lose the balance.
Don't lose the balance.
Don't lose the balance, Janet. All right, so for 2021, what is Jeanette Canavan going to do different for everybody out there?
I'm going to continue with that high enthusiasm. I am going to implement my lesson plans where you guys are interactive. You're not going to be bored. You're going to have fun, and I'm going to have fun. So, project-based learning. That's going to be a big solution to the outgoing education until we go back to a normal situation in the classroom, because we need the interaction. We need to be together with our students, talk to them, say goodbye, good morning, greet them, have parent-teaching conference again. Everything is being online. But we're going to go back to whatever it was in the past. But in the meantime, we need to make sure we keep the balance to reading and having that enthusiasm and creativity. That's my advice.
I think that when you said to interact with your students as if they were there in front of you, you know, one of the things that my kids really benefit from and enjoy is the first 15 minutes of their online exposure to their teacher and their classmates. It's a good morning, how are you, who's here, you know, how are you feeling today, did you bring your folder, your red book, or whatever, but just a regular conversation so they feel at least a little bit more normal until we get back to a little more normal.
Right?
Okay, so I want to ask you one thing, Ms. Canavan. So how do you know that your student is not cheating?
That is one thing. How am I supposed to give you a quiz? How am I supposed to test you? I'm going to have to do it to send you to investigate, to come back and pronounce or say something to me that tells me that you were an investigate, you did some searching, and that you are able to produce by telling me a line or two. That's all I need. I don't need quantity, quality. So forget about quizzes and the old-fashioned test. That is a different thing.
And don't think about cheating either.
No, you can't do that either.
I was getting ready to say, she said, not quantity, she said quality. And I can
Quality.
relate, you know, Janet, because you're that kind of person, Sarah, and you're the same way too. I'm the same way. We're hands-on. You know, we like to physically be looking at you and, you know, teaching you and having some kind of a, you know, reaction with one another, you know. But now it's hard. It's been a challenge. It's been a challenge, right, Janet?
Yes, it's definitely been a challenge for everybody, but it's a learning experience. And we are prepared for whatever it comes. I am not afraid. You are not afraid. We're not afraid. We have to approach this situation with the best attitude possible and to look forward for a beautiful future. We can never stop learning. It's the only tool that is going to keep us afloat, and it's going to open the door for everybody. And please never stop. Doesn't matter how old you are, continue learning. That's my message.
Oh, well, thank you for saying it with a smile and your creativity and your passion for what you do, because I think it's infectious. It comes across the camera when you are energized and enthusiastic about what you do and what you're providing and how you're helping the community. So thank you for what you do, Janet.
Thank you.
That is so wonderful. You know, I got to say something. You know, I am so proud of Janet Canavan because I see, you know, how hard she works, and I see how passionate she is about those kids. Because I've actually seen her in action, you know, and you know what's so funny is that those kids try to run all over her, but nobody gets away from Janet Canavan because she's on target with everybody. Janet, thank you so much for always supporting education, for loving the kids out there, and you know we couldn't do without, you know, professors and teachers like Janet, you know, and it's never too late to learn. I mean, I'm getting ready to be 57 years old, and I'm still learning, you know. Believe it or not, I feel young when I'm learning something new because education doesn't have a limit. Education is like the sky. Endless, you know. So it's never too late to learn a second language. It's never too late to educate yourself, and it's never too late to continue picking off 2021 with always making yourself better. Thank you so much for being right here at Dos Latinas, and thank you, Janet Canavan, for flying all the way up from New York City to dedicate us a little bit of your time and sharing everything you just did.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to be here and to be able to send this message to never stop learning, keep your dignity, never stop diversity. Always help each other, and you're going to see the difference. Thank you very much.
Hasta la vista.